So I started our recording. I'll get back into the screen. But this webinar has 7 of the local colleges and representatives. And we want to welcome everybody to Stratford, America, and that's just kind of a terminology we use on our campus. Our purpose for tonight is to introduce local college recruiters, have some discussion about the upcoming application season, talk about entrance requirements, talk about auto admits, and then we'll have some breakout sessions with each school. Among our panelists is Ms. Davis from Texas State University, Ms. Gavilan from University of Houston, Mr. McKissack from Prairie View A&M, Mr. Alvarado from Texas A&M, Ms. Van Nuker from Texas State, from the University of Texas, Ms. Pena, and from Texas Tech University, Mr. Savoy. So those are our panelists working through there. Oops, excuse me. Also tonight, you will see some representatives in here. Ms. Valerie Johnson is our grade level principal. She'll be working with us. I'm Jim Harrington, one of the counselors. Ms. Arrington is also one of the counselors. Ms. Hollister, Mr. White, and Ms. Simpson are all counselors at Stratford. We have Kaylin MacGyver, who happens to be this counselor for the SABI, which is our Spring Branch Academy Academic Institute. And then we have our two administrative assistants that work with the counseling staff. That's Ms. Autry and Ms. Ramos. So we're all working with you and we're working through there. So right now I'm gonna yield the screen, to Ms. Arrington, who has an announcement to make with the about Posse, and talk with our parents about Posse, and then we'll get to the questions. So Ms. Arrington.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I just wanted to present some information to you so that you could strongly consider it. At this time, we are entertaining students who may be interested in being representatives from Stratford for the Posse organization. And basically, those are students who exhibit leadership skills, collaborative spirit, academic potential, and have the desire to embrace diversity. The Posse model works from both students and college campuses and is rooted in the belief that a small, diverse group of talented students, also known as a posse, carefully selected and trained, can serve as a catalyst for individual and community development. And so basically what the process looks like is teachers, administrators, what have you, have submitted names of students that they thought would be ideal candidates to be considered. Again, if you would think that your student might be a good fit, please send their information to me, their name, and I'll reach out to them and give them our short application and some information. There is a virtual open house that Posse is presenting on tomorrow from 3 to 5, so that may be ideal if you want to get some more information. Also, I encourage you to go to their website. And basically, the end result, if you would be that the selected students would be afforded a full ride to one of the partnering universities. And those universities include, not the ones that we have with us tonight. We love our Texas schools. However, these schools are Bryn Mawr College in Pennsylvania. We have Carleton College in Minnesota, Colby College in Maine, University of Virginia, and Wellesley College in Massachusetts. Texas A&M is also included in that for students who are interested in STEM exclusively, but I will caution you that in most instances, the Posse organization does not select students of the same state. The ideal is to be willing to kind of venture out from the nest, go to an area that may be somewhat unfamiliar, and collaborate with other students of the same mind, if you would. So again, if you have students that you would like to be considered in our nominations, please submit their names to me as soon as possible. We have 13 slots. So I'm going to, myself along with a small committee, will be looking at the applications, and we will submit the names of those with the most potential, or those that should be in a position to be selected. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harrington. I'll start with Mr. Savoy. Mr. Savoy, what are the internship opportunities for students who attend Texas Tech or any college in the state of Texas?
Yeah, so there's a lot of internship opportunities, and the opportunities are kind of almost endless and always up to the students. Some colleges, so like our engineering school, and this will apply to other universities as well, will actually require a internship. And since it's a requirement, we definitely are here to help make sure that internship happens. And so we have different offices that are specific to supporting our students find the best career paths to them, get recruited, make that resume, cover letter. We actually have mock interviews as well. So they're kind of like pretend interviews that we have. Some companies like Valero will come in and their recruiter will actually do a pretend interview with our students before doing an actual interview. That way our students at Texas Tech are definitely so well prepared for internships, starting all the way like freshman year, sophomore year, all the way through their senior year.
Well, thank you. Ms. Calavan, I want to ask this question. The opportunities to study abroad. I mean, the kids have asked us, due to this COVID, that they haven't been able to get out and visit abroad, and even the students I know that are on campus. But knowing that the restrictions, what are the opportunities for our kids to have the opportunity to study abroad in the coming future?
Yeah, so I think it's this is an interesting time. I always recommend students to consider studying abroad. I had a really good experience, and at the University of Houston, we have so many different types of opportunities. Pre-COVID, if you were looking to do something with research, if you wanted to do like a traditional exchange program where you're going to another university, there are some students who want to do more kind of service-based. It just depends on what experience. You can stay as short as a week, as long as a full academic year. And the other good thing is, we do have scholarships for students. So a lot of times students think that, study abroad may be more expensive than it is to attend a semester. And depending on your program, that may not be true. And I'm sure other universities have this as well. But for U of H specifically, we offer a lot of scholarships and we work with students. We have an office you can go in, you can sit with advisors, talk about the different options. This past year has been a little bit different, but I will say, so one of my students who's a mentee in a program I work with, she was offered a study abroad scholarship and she was able to forward it to use it for this following upcoming, like for next summer. So that was one good thing. So we are really flexible. Of course, we're going to make sure that we are paying attention to all kinds of travel restrictions and making sure that students are safe. But we're hoping that, definitely by next spring, next summer, you'll have a lot of the same traditional opportunities that we've had.
Yeah. Ms. Davis, I want to ask this question because we have a lot of students who are taking dual enrollment and dual credit classes, and they worry about it being transferred. What can be transferred into a university? So what are some of the opportunities for kids who are getting credit from the University of Texas or from Houston Community College to transfer those credits into your university or any other university?
Well, it's pretty general across the board when it comes to taking dual enrollment or AP courses. You kind of just submit it as your transcript as if you're applying to the university as you would as a general student or a first-time freshman. The process is pretty easy. You just go and submit the documents that we require online, which would just be the transcript from that university. And we will go through the processing phase and evaluate that transcript, and then we'll let you know if those courses are accepted or denied.
That's good because we get these questions all the time. Well, do they take the credit? Do you take the grade? That's the two.
Right.
Those are the two questions that get people antsy about it. And do you just accept the credit or you take the grade as well? Because they're worried about the GPA.
Well, it depends on the grade in the course. So if it's a C or better, then we accept the grade and the credit.
Okay, that's good to know because we need to know how to advise our kids.
Right.
And we'll work from there. So, Ms. Pena, kids are asking us about how big do classes get and what are the average class size. So that's one of those things that they get very worried about and wonder what's going on. So enlighten us on some of the issues about class sizes as we go along.
Mhm. Yeah, so particularly at UT Austin, 63% of our classes will have 30 students or less in them. You will have those big, ginormous courses with about 300 students in them. However, if you are taking dual credit courses, those AP classes that kind of fit that basic core curriculum, so your general biology, history courses, you might already opt out of those larger classroom sizes. You might already have credit for them. So that can definitely be a benefit of taking those AP dual credit courses. However, the majority of your classes, as you continue on with your major, are going to shrink down in size. I also like to point out those large classes might not be horrible to take, especially if you don't like writing. A lot of your larger courses are going to have multiple choice exams. And I don't know about you, but I don't like to write if I don't have to. So I'm like, sign me up for that large class. No, but there can be some benefits to being in a large classroom sizes. Any classroom that has a lot of students, you're going to also have a lot of study groups available in those. And that goes for any institution that you're going to. They're going to have study groups where you can break out into smaller clusters outside of class to be able to study, meet with the TA, and make sure you're good to go and be successful in those courses.
Thank you. Mr. McKissick, one of the things that we hear from our kids is that they want to know what kind of support they can get from the institution when they're trying to study, when they're struggling, they're having issues. Can you share with us the different things that you have at Prairie View that can help our students?
Yes, sir. And good evening to everyone. So we do have our own tutoring center as well as any other institution would have a various tutoring center. But in addition to our tutoring center, we also have our peer mentors. So ours is our Panther advisory leaders. And so they assist students actually a week before they actually move in on campus to get them acclimated to the university. And we also have supplemental instruction. So let's say if it's a current student and they're taking biology, for example, or anatomy, one of the tougher courses. So we have a student that's already received a 90% or higher in a particular course, and then they actually retake that course the next semester and hold outside class time sessions to ensure that the student understands the content, because you have professors at any institution from all around the world. And so they might have a stronger dialect, or they might have it might just be that the way they're explaining the content might not be straightforward to a particular student, or a student might be more of a verbal learner as opposed to a hands-on learner. And so that's what that supplemental instruction helps to make sure students are guided on the right path, and that they're successful at the end of the day.
Yeah, and following up on that question, how do they apply for aid through 504, SPED, IEPs, that sort of stuff? Where do they go to on campus to get that extra help?
That's actually going to be housed. All the documents are housed in our financial aid department. So they will be able to go there. Right now, we're not meeting face to face, but we do have virtual appointments. And so they would be able to schedule an appointment with one of our financial aid counselors, and they'll be able to help them step by step in those applications, including TASFA as well too.
Thank you. Ms. Vonneker, students are wondering what kind of organizations are available on campus, what kind of clubs, how can they connect to the university? So how can kids connect to your university and other universities just like you?
Yeah, so at Texas State, we have over 400 different organizations on the campus, and I know there are multiple universities that are going to have that many, or maybe a little less at a smaller university, but there really is something for everyone. I know at least for Texas State and a lot of other universities, during the first couple of weeks of class, they do an organization fair. So all the different organizations will have their own little booths out, so you can kind of walk around campus or around the fair and see what's available, whether it's a service organization or Greek life, or if it's something that's just kind of social. Texas State has a hide and seek club. So if you want to go play hide and seek, you can do that. So there really is something for everyone. In college, I was in 4 different organizations throughout my college career. So lots of opportunity out there for sure. Plus, I know at Texas State and a lot of other universities, there's also a website for student affairs, and it's like what organizations they are, when they meet, and then like the who's the contact person to get a hold of them. So that's also another way to get involved. But yeah, that's my biggest piece of advice for any student, no matter where you go, get involved. That's where you're going to meet most of your friends. My best friend that I still talk to, I texted her right before this. I met in one of my organizations. So definitely get involved if you can.
And I agree with you. That's probably our best thing, is to try to get our students to get involved. Mr. Alvarado, I'm going to ask you the hard question, because this is the one that gets hit. July 1st is coming. Apply Texas is open. Do the students have to hit the Apply Texas absolutely on July 1st?
For sure. No, I definitely encourage students to take their time on the application. The essay, really take your time, make sure you're hitting that prompt. When it comes to, we want to know, when it comes to the actual application, we want to know everything that you were involved in. Take your time, go make sure you're filling it out to the best of your ability, the description of those things that you were a part of. Yeah, definitely, we do not want you to rush in, fill it out, and then next, like a week later, you're like, oh my gosh, I forgot to put something. No, take your time for sure. And then just so y'all know, Texas A&M's application will be opening August 1st.
Okay, so we'll make sure we pass that on as we go through that. Also, I'm gonna follow up with a question on you. Athletic events. I mean, we have 7 great universities here where the kids can go to an athletic event, see an athletic event. Tell us about the athletic experience for students on campus at A&M.
For sure. Now, of course, I may be biased, to the atmosphere of Texas A&M, but when you get to campus, there's nothing like a Texas A&M football game. It's a lot of people, but it is super, high energy, and that's with, I'm sure all of the schools here can say the same. Super high energy. It's a great place to spend time a Saturday or whenever that game is. But yeah, honestly, if you can make it to student athletic events, definitely do. It's a great place to be.
Ms. Davis, as we look at the classrooms and working with the students, one of the things that they want to know is how do they find the classrooms? What's laid out for them to make their way through? How do they declare a major? A lot of students will walk into the university and not have something on their mind what to study. I started out as a chem major. I came out to be a high school science teacher. So how do we help those kids in the career find their right path, where they're going to go?
Well, for me, I'm definitely one of those people that changed my major maybe once or twice in my college career. So I'm definitely an advocate of finding exactly what you want to do for the rest of your life, because you have to do that. You have to enjoy it. You don't want to go to work miserable every day. So one of the big things that we have a placement service. So within that placement service, they kind of help you figure out what you're interested in, or what's that thing that really gets your gears going. So that kind of leads them to picking the right major the first time, so they don't have to keep changing it. Or even we have major-based organizations that the students can enter. They don't have to be specifically in that major, and maybe that might interest them. And maybe they started out in chemistry, now they want to do communication because they joined the communication organization. 2 different fields, but they still get the aspect of both, and now they know exactly what they want to do. So,
Mr. Voy, as we look at things, Texas Tech has if I'm not mistaken, has the largest geographic area for a university in the country, 440 acres of university. So how can the kids get around from one class to another?
That is a great question. I remember my freshman year, I had to time out how far it was from walking from my dorm to my class to make sure I wouldn't be late. But at Texas Tech, we actually have free busing for all our students on campus. And so you can just hop on a bus, and it'll take you to the right building and the right area of campus. And the way I like to put it is that it just feels spaced out. You don't feel crammed, really like beautiful architecture, kind of Spanish and Spaniard themed. And something else is we actually have the Lime scooters as well. And so a lot of our students love to just hop on those scooters and zoom around campus.
Yeah, I've actually ridden on it when I came to visit and fell off
Really?
of the scooter, so I understand those scooters very well. Ms. Gavilan, as we look at it, how accessible are the professors? How kids relating to their professor being able to talk to them? How accessible are they? How can we have a communication with them?
Yeah, so I mean, we are a large university, so I'm going to be very honest. I think the third, we're not the largest in this chat, we're the third largest. But I mean, to be honest, especially in some of your first year classes, you're going to have rather large class sizes. Now, for our classes, anything that's over 50, 60 students, we have kind of separate study groups of 20 students where they're meeting with TAs. We do have amazing office hours for professors, and they do like meeting with their students. So that's one thing I always recommend students is take advantage of office hours. A lot of times students always complain like, oh, like the professor's not answering my email sometimes because they're being inundated with things, but take advantage of office hours. All of our professors have them. And especially the beginning of classes, like that first week, a lot of them will have like different departments will have events at U of H where they have all the professors and faculty members kind of meet. So you can kind of get to know everybody. So that's also one of the ways that they just are a little bit more accessible for students.
Thank you. Ms. Pena, freshman housing, are they required to stay on campus? What is the requirements for freshmen as far as housing, attending classes, going from there?
Awesome. So no, students are not required to live on campus at UT Austin. However, we do encourage it. The university is essentially your backyard, but there is also a lot of off-campus housing basically on campus, just like right across the street. So yeah, not a requirement, but highly encouraged.
Okay. Want to switch over, Ms. Monaker, I want to ask a question about applying for scholarships. Is there a deadline? Is it part of the application system? How does that work for you guys?
Yeah, so at Texas State, we have two kind of major scholarships. First is the Assured Merit-Based Scholarship. So that is going to be automatically awarded to students who meet the criteria, top 35% of their graduating class and a specific test score, or we review them if they don't submit a test score. And then there are the competitive scholarships. So that is a separate application that students do have to fill out. It might be based around a major or something along those lines, but it is something additional. And that for us is a December 1st deadline.
Okay. Mr. McKissick, I've got a couple questions I wanted you. How do kids apply for financial aid, or what are the financial aids available other than Pell Grants? And is there a specific deadline for financial aid when we're applying?
That's an excellent question. So just want to let everyone know that the financial aid application will become available October 1st of every year. Regardless of your living situation and what do you think you will be awarded, you still want to fill out the FAFSA as soon as possible. A lot of students that wait longer and not filling out the FAFSA tend to lose different funding. And because of different institutions, most of us have a priority deadline date where we award and we do all of our scholarships first, and then we have a regular admissions deadline date, which that is going to be a little bit later. So students are able to be awarded as much financial aid. But in addition to your federal aid, that's also going to include your work study funds as well. Also, as you mentioned, you have your grant monies as well too, all the way from the institutional level to the federal level as well. And then also included, we have Prairie View is our scholarship application too, which is available between December 1st and March 1st, where students can apply for departmental scholarships. So depending on their major, and then also alumnus scholarships as well too is also available at Prairie View.
That's excellent information because as we try to get our parents to file their FAFSA to make sure that hey, October 1st is when you really need to start thinking about it. And now the state is requiring all graduating seniors to have completed the FAFSA or fill out an opt-out form. So that's very important. That was great information for us because that's something that parents are not going to be used to, and they're going to have to apply for the first time. One last question, and then we're going to break out. So I'm going back to Mr. Alvarado. as we look at things, when do kids have to declare, or students have to declare a major?
So for Texas A&M specifically, we we require students to declare a major at the time of application. So when you start your freshman year at Texas A&M, you will be in a major where you're not going to be undeclared. Can you change majors after that? Yes, and I definitely encourage you to change majors if you're not feeling what the major that you're currently in. I want you to have a great career pathway. I want you to be happy with your major. So I'm sure that's with any school. If you kind of have doubts about your major, even once you get to college, talk to your academic advisor, talk to different people on campus. We want you to be successful in that process, so for sure.
Thank you. And panelists, I want to thank you for answering these questions. That's not all the questions we have, but I submitted the questions to you. If you want to send me some answers to the questions I sent you, we'll post it back to our parents. What I'm going to do is share another slide with our parents, and it's the Zoom link to be able to break out to the breakout sessions. Our counselors will be joining you in the breakout session, so I want to share the screen again. Parents, we'd like for you to click on the screen on the breakout session to see the QR code, and you break out from there. Click on the QR code and break out to your other sessions. And thank you very much, panelists, for helping us. Catherine, did that work?
Yes, it did. I was talking out loud, but you didn't hear me.
Okay. No, I didn't. I've got to go join. I forgot what session